Hello and welcome to the Rock Your Voice podcast. Vocal coaching tips that will transform your voice, interviews that will inspire, industry guidance, and so much more. Without further ado, let's get on with the show. Hello. Okay, so I'm super excited for this one. This is a really cool topic because it's something that, in my opinion, really does require quite a bit of training, a little bit of practice, a lot bit of practice actually. And I'm usually really anti-theory. And I'm not going to go all theory on you here at all because I am not a theory person and that's not how I work and that's not how this is going to work. But if you are interested in learning a bit more music theory, if you are interested in learning different scales, they are going to help you so much with adding color and flair to your riffs and runs, different kind of blues scales, pentatonic scales, all these kind of different ways to just really beef up your chops with your flow and your feel and being confident with adding in some really cool different elements as opposed to just running up and down major and minor scales. Just adding in a little bit more flair is going to really help. However, if you don't have a year and a half to dedicate to music school right now, which is totally understandable, let's give this a shot from a purely ear and feel driven approach. There are so many different sort of tutorials out there where it's like, now we're going to throw on a pentatonic scale or a cool jazz triad or something. And that just feels so alien to me. And I want to be like, this is a cool run. Let's learn it. So there are some insanely useful hacks that will help you learn runs from singers you love. And what I recommend, if this is all brand new to you, if you are just like, I can sing in a straight line and it's like la la la, and if the singer stops singing, I am lost, or you feel really not intimidated, what's the word? You just don't feel confident just busting out a riff or a run or an ad lib here and there. Go and learn some of your favorite runs and riffs and go and just sort of take away from that how it feels, get flexibility with learning some of the runs and riffs that are your favorites and start to get confident with those. And then you can start to add a bit of flair into your own singing. It's not something that happens immediately. You can't suddenly just learn how to do it and then it just happens. It's something you really need to nurture and practice and grow with. And there's a few ways to do this. Like I said, there are some serious hacks, and I'm just so jealous of everyone growing up as a singer in the age of YouTube and podcasts and all of this online coaching and TikTok and all that stuff, because it's right there in front of you. Now, here's the thing with YouTube, and this is going to change your life if you have not yet figured this out. Bottom right corner of the screen with YouTube, go to the little cog, click on that, and you'll have the option to alter the playback speed. So this is where you are going to go to school with YouTube. So you pick your run from your favorite singer, hit the cog, change the playback speed. Now, what I've been working on is a run. And for those of you that know me, you know I'm obsessed with Tori Kelly's runs. Now, I've knocked back a run of hers from normal speed right the way down to 5 so that I can literally write it out on the piano. So that I can, for me, the way that I learn, and this might be completely irrelevant if you don't play an instrument, but if you do play an instrument, I really recommend slowing it down, learning the phrasing on your favorite instrument and just learn that. So for me, having a visual of what the run is doing and being able to see it on the piano, the pattern, versus just hearing this massively fast, amazingly impressive thing, it's just so much easier. So what I did, I took her run, I put it to half the speed, and then I literally picked it apart and mapped it all out. Then comes the fun part. Okay, so actually I'll kind of give you an example here. Let me see. I'm gonna throw in the run that I'm working on. here's the slowed down version. And now kind of this is what I worked out on the keyboard. Forgive me, Tori Kelly, if I'm missing some bits. And she does something you can hear on the slowed down version, this really funky little, which is like, we're not even going to count those as notes. Sure, that's happening if you're a music theory master and you want to include those notes. Yeah, you throw in a wibble. So she's basically, she stacks it all up and she does this. Now that in itself is quite a lot of effort. So we're going all the way up to that high G. So I highly recommend a really solid warm up. But what I have been doing, and I always talk about these, I will never shut up about these because they're magic, singing straw. So what I do is I get my straw note, and that resistance there helps me just work up to that note, set it all up without any pressure. So then I broke it down. So we've got that stack, and then so that's what she does. The timing there is completely off with what I just played, but that's the melodic pattern that she follows. With Tori, we have, let me just pull it up. So I'm going to go, let's playback speed 0.75, and let's have some fun here. So we got with the straw. See, that's her real weird. And then we go right up. So that's how I've been breaking it down, using the straw, going at 0.75. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the straw, resume regular playback speed. And again, this is assuming you have the patience to sit in front of YouTube and learn your favorite singers' riffs, and then just take away from that, like build on these runs and riffs and take away from that. And this is how music is created. You learn your favorite stuff, and then you learn what you love about it, and then you apply it to your own style and your own feel. So let's bring this in here and see. Here we go with the straw. And again, perfect by no means, but here we go. We're just learning and having fun, right? And then you put your feel and you put your flow on it, and it's going to sound awesome. Whether you hit the same notes exactly as her, whether you hit the same time as her exactly, if you put you into it and some confidence and some passion, you're going to kill it. So let's just try. So then you take away the straw. Now the trick here is not to suddenly throw all the weight and all the power in the world at it. Her voice is very strong. But while we're practicing, while we're learning, we're not going to belt the heck out of it. We're going to come at it really nice and gently. Okay, let me see. Am I in the right spot? Hey, here we go. So you come at it really nice and gently. So we have, hey, hey, hey. So it's nice and gentle. And then what you're going to do when you're confident with the flow, when you're confident with the feel, you add your power, you add your stylistics. She's quite pharyngeal, quite nasal. So it helps if you breathe. That's another point. Honking great big breath before you do this run, okay? And I'm using this one as an example because, in my opinion, I think this is a phenomenal run and it's just so much fun to work on. But there are other ones. Let me pull up here another one for you that I love. And I'm just picking the female one. Sorry, guys, because I'm just tempted to go that way. I think it's Stone Cold that Demi Lovato does a really nice run. Actually, the live version. Honda Civic. Yeah, okay. The live version on the Honda Civic Tour is insane. The run that she does, it's really cool. And then this comes back to those sort of scales where being super bluesy is going to help. So let's see here. So that's very dramatic. It's not as fast as Kelly's. It's not quite as varied as Kelly's, but it's real dramatic. She holds that blues. She puts that kick into it. And that's what makes it sound really, really cool. So I'm going to put some proper clips of this audio into this podcast here. But so what I always suggest with your riffs and your runs, if you can, and if you have a bit of a background with music theory, take some time to explore some different types of scales and look at those different kind of what makes those scales different and how you can use those in your riffs and your runs. Really, really cool tool to have in your toolkit. So I would explore different scales. If you don't have time, or if you're like me, you don't have the patience, pick some that are varied and learn the living daylights out of them, like the back of your hand. Okay, so you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to reduce the speed. If you have an instrument, if you are instrumental in riffing and running, if you play an instrument and that helps, I would map out the run really, really slowly, and just then you go gradually speed up until you have every movement locked in. That's where the singing straw really helps with muscle memory. Of where you're placing all of the notes, because you're not going to engage external muscles that are going to start forcing and pushing things. It's just going to flow, and your brain is going to map the pattern a heck of a lot easier as well, without any pressure or tension on your voice. So I love using singing straws for mapping out your riffs and your runs. Check out the show notes for a discount if you want to get your hands on some. And then go back to the regular speed, and then practice without adding volume or pressure. Keep it really light, really floaty. And then when it's all locked in, when it's all laid down, I would start to add your stylistics, whether that means a bit more volume, a bit more twang, a bit more of a fuller, thicker sound, a bit of a growl in there. Whatever it is you want to do with it, that's when you add your stylistics. And if you're coming at a run, if you're working on an original piece and you want to add a run in there, just take your time, get creative, like go over the chord progression over and over and over, and get that vibe and that feel that singer-songwriters, that when you're in that zone and you just like are letting it out and having fun with it, get to that point where you're not thinking overly technically about, I want to put a run here and it's going to be like, you don't want to be like, I'm really structuring this run and I want to make it pretty and cool. Be just like, get into it, be real with it. And when the one comes up and you're like, yeah, that was it, that was magic. Hopefully you've been recording what you've been vamping around and playing with, and then you go back and you write out that run and you learn exactly what it is that you did and you lock it in, and there you'll have your run for your original piece or your cover that you want to add your own runs to. So hopefully this has helped. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'd love you to share. If you go on the Rocket Vocal Studios Facebook page or Instagram, just tag Rocket Vocal Studios and share if you're working on some runs, because I'd love to see what you're coming up with and see if this has helped you. So yeah, it's just at Rocket Vocal Studios on all social media. So let me know how you're getting on with your riffs and runs, and let me know if there's other topics that you'd like some help with too. Thanks a lot, and good luck with your riffing around. Thanks so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Please follow Rock Your Voice podcast on social media. And if you're interested in learning a bit more about the voice and getting some singing tips and tricks, check out Rocket Vocal Studios on social media as well. That's ROCKIT Vocal Studios. And you can visit rocketvocalstudios.com for lots more too. Thanks again, and we'll be back on the Rock Your Voice podcast very, very soon.